Greetings and welcome to the Creating Innovative Uses of Technology project that I created using Bubble.us, Popplet, and Twitter as means of communication in the classroom. Connecting through mind mapping and social media is a relevant topic in today's digital world. Students need to be aware of their resources and their educational environment. As we continue to progress, we need to be able to collaborate with peers, think critically, and solve creative problems. The reason that I selected this topic is because I am currently teaching technology at the middle school level, and we have a unit that involves visual learning. I think that using mind maps from Bubble.us and Popplet fits in nicely with my content that I am currently teaching and will help to enhance the learning process for my students. The topic of Twitter was recently brought to my attention by another teacher in my building, so I thought that I would delve further into the topic to see what I could find out about how it connects with students in the classroom. A brief description of my lesson plan involving Bubble.us and Popplet. Students will be making a connection through mind mapping. They'll be given instructional videos that were created by me via Screencast-O-Matic for Bubble.us and Popplet. Students will then create individual assignments comparing and contrasting each web program. Here is a sample view of the assignments that the students will be working on. The Bubble.us assignment asks students what they would create. They're going to be given a list of certain supplies that they can use, and they're going to need to be able to create something new from this supply list. There's a brief tutorial embedded within the assignment, and students will have free choice. There will be no sample assignments for students to look at. It's totally independent. The Popplet assignment is centered around Walt Disney World and students taking a virtual tour of the theme park, visiting either Magic Kingdom, Epcot, Hollywood Studios, or Animal Kingdom. Students will view the tutorial on Popplet that I created using Screencast-O-Matic, and then they will select 3 attractions, 3 entertainment options, and 3 dining options to create their mind map. The last thing that students will do in this first part of my lesson is to compare and contrast Popplet versus Bubble.us. To do this, students will be using a Venn diagram creator from readwritethink.com. All of the links for these assignments are available on my wiki page, and you can check them out there. The brief description plan for Twitter is that students will be making connections through social media. In order to do this, students will be creating a positive digital web presence by creating a professional account for academic purposes. Students are going to respond using the hashtag WellsTech16. While students are working, their comments, posts, tweets, retweets, and replies will revolve around the assignments that we completed during the first part of our visual learning with the What Would You Create assignment and the Walt Disney World assignment. The resources involved in these lesson plans are that students need a school-issued email address and an access to the internet with a working device, either a Chromebook, desktop, iPad, or tablet. The websites that students will access are all of these 12 sites. Students may or may not access the sites particularly, but all of them are involved. For example, Screencast-O-Matic is a site that's accessed directly by the teacher, but students will view Screencast-O-Matic content on the YouTube videos. The prior skills that are necessary for teachers to possess are they should be aware of the online assessment tool, ThatQuiz. ThatQuiz is a place where teachers can upload their rosters and then design or create specific assessments that they would like their students to participate in. In my class, I use ThatQuiz for bell work assignments and summative and formative assessments. It can be used in a variety of ways. Feedback is automatic and students get that immediately. Google Drive, specifically Google Sheets and Google Classroom. Information from that quiz is transferred to Google Sheets where the data can be researched or explored. Google Classroom is a very important part of my classroom. Students complete all of their work in Google Classroom and submit assignments there as well. Bubble.us and Popplet are very simple programs to use. The tutorials are already embedded within the student assignments, but teachers should be aware of the content as well. Screencast-O-Matic is necessary because you need to have a headset with a microphone in order to create these aids for your students. The Venn diagram creator is a self-explanatory website where you'll be comparing and contrasting two different things. The social media aspect with Twitter is probably going to be the most challenging part of this lesson because teachers need to have a very good working understanding of social media and Twitter. Inevitably, questions are going to arise from students, which means that the teacher needs to be aware of the questions, to answer them, or have the ability to find the answers to these questions. Teachers should also be able to ask valuable questions on Twitter in order to make their students successful and delve into that critical thinking aspect. As far as students' prior knowledge and skills, this lesson is geared primarily towards middle school, high school, or higher education. Students in elementary school can definitely find benefits of using Bubble-us and Popplet for visual learning in the classroom, but with regard to the assignment that I'm presenting, students should be in middle or high school, especially with relation to Twitter. Students need to be aware of and/or sign acceptable use agreements and have knowledge of cyber safety and digital citizenship. Here are two website lessons that you could use to teach these. These come from 21 Things for Students, which is an accredited program from the International Standards for Technology and Education. Both of them provide fantastic resources and lessons for teaching and learning the skills related to cyber safety and digital citizenship. The process that students are going to be completing is that students will complete a pretest to gather data. Upon this, students will take the same assessment to assess them at the end of the unit with growth. Students will watch instructional and tutorial videos based on the different visual learning websites that we're using, which are Bubble-us and Popplet. Students will also watch a video based on the Venn diagram tutorial. Students will eventually create their own mind maps using both websites and the assignments that are associated with those sites. And then finally, to complete the first part of the lesson, students will complete a Venn diagram which compares and contrasts the advantages and disadvantages of each program. On my wiki page, it's available for you, but there is the tutorial that I created on YouTube with Popplet, Bubble-us, and also using the Venn diagram creator from Read, Write, Think. All of those, again, are great resources to be used in order to help students be successful. With relation to Twitter and the second part of the lesson, students are going to be asked to produce answers to questions and prompts that are given by the teacher. The questions and prompts are going to relate directly to in-class activities that we completed in Part 1, so the What Would You Create assignment, the Walt Disney World assignment, and the Venn diagram assignment. Students are going to be made aware through learning objectives that there are various ways to communicate. Some examples are visual representations, which we studied in Part 1, online communication, which is Twitter, and face-to-face instruction, which is the traditional classroom setting that most students are used to. The procedure for using these resources in the classroom for Bubble-us and Popplet, again, that quiz is going to provide immediate grading and feedback for students. Google Drive is going to be a definite benefit with relation to Google Classroom and Google Sheets. Screencast-O-Matic provides us brief tutorials for Bubble-us, Popplet, and Venn diagram, and then the other assignments that are posted in Google Classroom that were shown earlier were the What Would You Create, Walt Disney World, and Compare and Contrast. For the Twitter portion procedure, students will be exposed to vocabulary using the Twitter glossary, which can be found by clicking on the link. Again, it's available in my wiki on PBWorks. Students will also be encouraged to create a review and study game so that they're aware of the vocabulary using Quizlet by creating a free account and then making a study set once they're there. Students will be asked to join Twitter using their school-issued email. The teacher will tweet questions and prompts to encourage participation in online communication using the hashtag WellsTech16. Here are 2 sample questions that the teacher could ask if there was an assignment that was going to be carried out in class. The advantage of this project are that all of the resources are available online for free. It encourages students to participate in critical thinking skills, making connections between concepts that may not seem connected otherwise, identifying the relationships, and problem solving. Collaborating and communicating online are also benefits to these lessons. Students will realize from both of these assignments that they are part of a global community and that they are going to be able to reach anyone from around the world, which is definitely different than the traditional classroom setting where our possibilities are limited by the walls that surround us. Disadvantages of the project could be viewed as this is a very abstract thought process. It could be challenging for concrete thinkers. To be the most beneficial, students need to be involved in the process of creating mind maps with Bubble.us and Popplet. In order to have everyone involved, this could be a classroom management issue. It could get challenging without proper planning. Traditionally, Twitter has not been viewed as an educational tool, so therefore proper training, guidance, and possibly intervention may be necessary so that teachers, students, and administration can find using Twitter to be a worthwhile learning experience. The effective instructional strategies that are involved in these lessons are that they force students to reflect on their learning. Students are essentially thinking about their own thinking, which means the metacognitive factor associated with the mind maps in Bubble.us and Popplet are very high. Regardless of the assignment that's given, the students have to be aware of their own thought processes and planning in order to be successful. Teachers can also use these tools for formative assessments because students are able to share their work with others. The best practice associated with Twitter swirls around communication, feedback, and reflection. Students are instantly communicating with others, meaning teachers, fellow peers, and in a way they're providing feedback that allows students to progress at their own pace while everyone contributes to the global society of learning. Can these innovations be transferred? A massive benefit of using both of these is that both of these tools, meaning the visual maps from Bubble.us and Popplet and the social media skills from Twitter, can be incorporated into different classrooms and core content. In effect, the possibilities to incorporate these technologies are limitless. Mind mapping can be a part of all subject areas. Teachers can use these tools with students at all levels because the small learning curve associated with the resource. Like I explained earlier, this topic was directly related to middle school, high school, or higher education, but that's not to be said that it can't be used in lower elementary as well. I think that keeping learning objectives and targets in mind when selecting an innovative tool should be the priority, not simply using technology for technology's sake. With proper explanation and guidance, it's possible to use Twitter in nearly all aspects of higher level education. There should be a great deal of emphasis placed on working together for the betterment of education, and that Twitter allows students and teachers to make this possible. Students are able to reach across the globe for information, and teachers can also connect with their peers for professional development and social networking. Hopefully you've enjoyed this brief presentation on making connections with Bubble.us, Popplet, and Twitter. I appreciate your time.